Thank you, and Nina Mani. Hey, we're an educated crowd. And thank you so much to Jack for a wonderful and generous and always entertaining welcome to country. I acknowledge that we are indeed meeting on the lands of the Gunner people, Gunayata, always was, always will be Aboriginal land. And I, for one, am so grateful for that to be true. There's a terrific quote, and I'll see if I manage not to mangle it, by a man who was a judge in the US, started around 1902, so a very long time ago, called Oliver Wendell Holmes. And he said, "For simplicity this side of complexity, I give you not a fig." You can tell it's quite an old quote. "I give you not a fig, but for simplicity on the other side of complexity, why, I would give you all I have." So the cheap answers, the simple answers before you've really thought about the problem, you hear them a lot from people, often people in my profession, to be honest. For a simplicity that makes sense but fully understands the true complexity of the world that we live in, that's rare and precious, and that should be what we're all constantly looking for. And the idea of design, in my view, attempts to capture that, to acknowledge all of the complexity of what we're trying to achieve, how we'd like to live, and what the challenges are that we're responding to, but in a way that is simple and elegant and feels human. That is the task that the vast majority of you sitting here today are engaged in, whether you think about it in quite those terms or not. It seems to me that for those engaged in design and thinking about the future, there are many positive elements that you can contemplate. How do we make this world more appealing, easier, fairer, more accessible, more beautiful? How do we do that? How can we do that through how we plan our cities, our built environments, and the products that are around us? At the same time, though, there is quite a lot of negative pressure coming our way that we need to contemplate in answering those questions, in finding that simplicity. Much of the challenge of complexity sits in that world. We are on a warming globe, and warming in a way that is, to all intents and purposes, for human purposes, completely unprecedented. 2023 was an extraordinarily hot year, off the charts every single month, month after month, off the records across the world, globally, not just in Australia, globally. And we saw the fires, the floods, the mudslides, the tornadoes happening to people, happening to their built environments, and happening to nature throughout 23 and now throughout 2024. And yet there was a climate scientist quoted in a recent quarterly essay, a climate scientist from NASA, who looked at 2023, which horrified anyone paying attention to what's happening with global warming. And he said, on current trajectory, as bad as 23 was, it will be one of the cooler years this century. That's the future that is right in our face. And the rate of the warming is unprecedented. If you compare a pedestrian walking along the sidewalk, which is the kind of change of climate that we've seen before, and then you see a car speeding by at 180 miles an hour, that's the speed that we're going at present in the change in our climate. Now you all, just as I am, are part of how we deal with that, because we don't get to just resign. We don't just get to say, well, it's going to be pretty awful and I'll just bunker down. We have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to find the answers to those complex problems, to find the elegant simplicity on the other side of acknowledging that complexity. And we have to do it collectively. We can't do it individually, can't even do it as a single nation. We have to do it collectively. And many of you may have been, and I know I certainly was, slightly glued to the 24-hour news service today to see what's happening around in the US. And we don't know yet, but it's not looking super good for Kamala. It's not looking lost, but it's certainly not saying, well, that one's done, that's good. Still uncertainty. If we can't live in a world where we can agree to see each other as human, and we can agree to see each other as valid and valuable in all of the diversity that we bring, while we're dealing with this enormous challenge of climate change, then I'm not certain we're going to get this right. But the beautiful thing is human ingenuity. And that's again what you embody here. So as you contemplate the challenges before you, and your challenges will look many and varied, please cast a mind to that greater shared responsibility that we have. We are at one of the most crucial times humanity can have ever contemplated. And we have to get it right. It's not an if, we have to. We have to do it together. So I want to congratulate the organisers for having such a successful forum, bringing people together to contemplate the difficulties and see the answers. And I look forward to hearing how well it's gone for all of you participating. Thank you.
I'll come over here and you can come back to the lectern. Yeah, you can stay there because otherwise people won't hear you.
That's true.
So thank you. The responsible piece, the responsibility that we all have, I think is a really important takeaway from this, and I'll touch on that in my closing remarks as well. But I guess it would be really great to understand with this audience and for the state more specifically, the opportunities that are coming up and how can we as a collective find ways to participate in helping to drive that change or meet that opportunity. Is there anything that's happening right now that you, and looking ahead to the election coming up as well, of course, what do you think your advice would be for us?
And thank you for asking. And let's take away party politics from it, because this is so much bigger than an election, federally or state, although I have my views, as you might expect. But what's happening in South Australia in particular, I think, is that we are at a point where most of us are really excited about the opportunities for this century, for this state. As hard as all the things are that I've just described, we have the kind of resources that are wanted and recognised and valued now. We have not only this extraordinary record in renewable electricity production, the best in the world for intermittent, for sun and wind, the best in the world, and we've done it rapidly in 16 years, from 1% to 74%. We're going to hit 100% net production of electricity from renewables by 2027. That's incredible without a dam, which is what most places that do better than us have. We're in a place where we have copper, we have iron that's capable of being turned into green iron, we're investing in hydrogen. So we have a time where we're trying to put together the natural resources that we have alongside the technology that we're capable of, and inside a stable democracy where the rules get followed and where you can enter into a contract and know that it's going to last a long time. So I think we've got an extraordinary opportunity to turn what the world's looking for into our chance to shine, where the other states have had coal and heavy iron and even gold, which was pretty special for Victoria, but we've never quite had that one thing that everyone's wanted. We've been pretty good at a lot of things. We really feel that this is our opportunity to grab that and to do it in a way that gives others hope as well. So I think get on board in your different ways with this new South Australia, more complex economy, better educated, focused on having a strong and fantastic university system, and also this renewable energy leading into green manufacturing. That's the picture that we can paint for ourselves, and we all need to be part of it to make that work.
And with a little magic wand.
Little magic wand.
What are you thinking that what would you do? You have a fair bit of agency. What would you want to see happen very quickly?
I would like to see, so all of that of course, but that's very much shared. I want to find more of a role for nature in that conversation. The reason as Deputy Premier I took on the environment portfolio and paired it with industry, innovation and science was because I see that as being our future collectively. being more sensitive to the demands of the environment. We tend, as I did in this speech, talk a lot about climate change, and we absolutely have to. We have to get ready for it as well as we have to decarbonise. But there's got to be room for biodiversity too, for nature, for all the other species that we share the planet with. And in fact, we won't decarbonise without that. We need a healthy system of nature. If we can live in a city, in townships and across South Australia in a way that recognises that nature is part of us as humanity, and that we are in a truly green environment where we're able to breathe as humans, then we will have succeeded in solving a whole lot of other complex problems to get to refer back to my speech, that relatively simple way of life. If we can get through all of the challenges between us and that, then we will have solved many of the challenges in South Australia. And I have, not being sort of professionally optimistic, but genuinely have every confidence that we've got the right ingredients here to do that.
Wonderful. Well, we're all ready, so thank you so much.
Thank you.